My name is Jamar Flemming. I'm pastor of Agape Ministry, also minister of music at True Light Ministries. I'm CEO of Men of Tomorrow, in which we mentor young kids who are at risk in the city of Canton and Stark County area. Um, just pleased to be here today with Pastor Don, and we want to have a little discussion today. So. I think right now in the United States we're dealing with a situation that division is definitely something that we all can see that's clearly becoming a bigger problem, especially during this time and moment. And I think that with that, I think that those who want to see change, those who want to see peace, those who want to see every human being, all of us come together and love one another as the Bible tells us to, as many people believe that we should. I think that we have to begin to, those who believe that, not sit on the sideline, but be active in the fact of trying to bring people together and getting people to love one another and to pull this situation together, that all of us are created equal and that we all are human beings in God's sight. That's a interesting fact. I think that we have definitely right now are facing a time where even some of our leadership, especially in America and different things, have pressed upon those issues of dividing and racial issues so hard that it's becoming um, an issue that has always been there, but it's just bubbling up and boiling over at this point because many people are feeling comfortable to show that ignorance as well. And I think that people are finding it hard because there is a system that's been made. I think that for years and years that people have been oppressed, and I think that it's becoming a time where many people are tired of dealing with that same thing. But also, when you hear certain things on TV, you hear certain things on media, you see certain things going on, it makes those issues become even more prevalent at that moment. And we're dealing with a situation now where, with this presidency and the new election coming on, it's becoming like almost like a race election this time around. Like either you for the equality of everyone, or you're not, or and this is really is going to show the way that you vote. And so I think that is so prevalent right now because we came from the first African American president, and then now we're here. And I think that in itself created a lot of racial issues at the time. And so going from there to here, I think we're definitely seeing the fruits of all of that kind of come up right now. I think that people have to realize that even if you talk about when blacks got the right to vote, and you could say it really wasn't that long ago. And I think the reality of it is that you have to look at the progression of everything because there's really nothing usually new under the sun. And I'll say that even during that time, there were people who thought that people should just be happy with what they had and they should be okay. They're just complaining. I think that's the same atmosphere that was going on then. But it oftentimes takes drastic situations for people to finally say, "Oh, there is a problem." And I think like we know at the time of Martin Luther King and the March on Selma and what people saw happen on that bridge and how people were affected by the hate that they seen happen there made people realize that, oh, I think there might be a problem. I think similar to now, where people are talking about police brutality. I think that people need to understand that what you see on videos is only a partial of what is happening on a day-to-day basis in America. You have to imagine, what about all the times that a camera is not present? What about all the times that nobody captured anything on film, and people are doing those same things that you saw happen to George Floyd and different people, and it's happening behind the scenes. There's falsified reports. There's so many things that are happening, and the people who are experiencing those things are crying out to be heard, and they know. Most people who you probably have seen in the protest or heard talking, either they have experienced racism on their own, or they know someone real close to them who have experienced these things, and so they're fighting for the future of their children, and they're fighting for those who are suffering from it today. Yeah, I experienced racism growing up in different occasions. Um, there's a time where I would be stopped by police, and they would say, like, I remember one time I was driving, they said that I think I fit somebody's description, and they pulled me out of the car. They wanted to search the car. At this time, I was in high school, and I had a ring for my girlfriend. I was gonna give it to her. So they took the ring out of my pocket, and they was like, "Boy, where you steal this from? Like, where you steal this from?" And so they automatically assumed that it was something I stole, and they kept me basically pulled over for, it was over an hour and something, and just antagonizing until they had enough, I guess, and they were like, "Okay, well, we just found out that you don't fit the description, so you can go." That's one occasion. There's occasion when I was younger, and I was running home. I was a young kid running home, and somebody had got robbed in the area, but I had on, I guess, a red shirt or something that was similar to the fact. And so they saw me running home. They came to the house, um, and they were gonna take me. I was young though. I think I might have been like 11, 12, and my mom, she was a pastor, and the chief so happened to know her, and he was like, "Oh no, it couldn't be them." But there's so many different things that and then and there's schools, I won't name the schools, but there's schools that we experienced racism in, and things that happened that I had to protect other students from, racism that was coming their way just for basically the color of their skin and what they were being accused for. And I think that with all of those experiences and different things, you just come to the realization that um, it's a real thing for minorities and black people. It's a real situation, and sometimes I think when something is not affecting you personally, it's hard to see or walk in somebody else's shoes, as they would say. Oh yes, I think you definitely can. I think you definitely can do both. I think it's a sour grape, I think you would say, in some people's mouths right now because there's so much tension with it. But I think one of the things that I always tell people is that, first of all, everybody is a human being first. And judging people based off of their character and what they do is most important. Um, every officer, as we know, I can say here, sitting here today, that I know every officer is not a bad cop. The reality is that there are some, and there are some who are for racial issues. There's some who are just power hungry. There's some who take advantage of their authority. All of those different situations, but they're not all the same. And I think that each person deserves to be seen as a person first and judged based off of their actions. And I think what people what people who are legitimately fighting for change are asking for It's for things to be put in place to prevent a person from using biases to police people. And so if they can put policies that are strong enough in place to bring enough punishment and discipline for those type of actions, then maybe people will be more hesitant to do that because you're biased. I think it's a hard task if you think that you can change every person's heart. I don't think you can. It's just like working at a store or whatever. Like I could be racist or I could be whatever, but I better not treat that customer a certain way because of that, or I won't have that job. I might not like that person that I gotta serve, but I can't show it in my actions because if I do, then obviously I'm gonna be in trouble. So I don't think we can control how people feel. I think people that may be racist, they're gonna be that way unless God does something to change their heart. But I think that we can put policies and things in place to say, hey, you can feel however you want to feel, but if you cross these lines, this is what the discipline is going to be. This is what the consequences are going to be. I think when it comes to racial situations and the military, it was very interesting because it's one of those things that people use to bond. Um, and I know that they can be in very bad taste, but oftentimes military people will have a whole like they would joke about racial jokes, like and it would be funny. Everybody would laugh. Everybody would be like, "Oh," because you would just find some racial joke for every different type of race that you have in that platoon, and they would just laugh about what people would say in their own communities as far as what people said at home about those particular races. But what happened was it was such a camaraderie of people because you spent so much time together and you really got to know people for who they were outside of the color of their skin. And many people would cross lines, and if they were racist or if they were prejudiced, they didn't have that same thought process because of all the time they spent with someone that first they assumed was one way, but they found out that may have been their best friend when they were together in that platoon or that mission or in that company or whatever. I think that when you go through things together and when you have to survive together, race doesn't matter anymore. It leaves out the window when you have to depend on each other. It's
You
just
don't get an option.
right. It's the same thing I think in sports. It's like I play football. Like when you're on that field, you might think differently once you get off, but while you're on that field, you're not thinking about anybody's race. You like, I need you to do your job. I need you to do your job because that's the only way we're gonna be successful. It doesn't matter. I need you. I don't care what color you are. I need you to do your job. You need me to do my job, and we're trying to accomplish something. And I think when, if we even if we can, as America, say we're finally gonna try to accomplish what the American way is supposed to look like and say it's the melting pot. It's where everybody's supposed to come together, where everybody's created equal, with that opportunities for to pursue happiness and have liberty. We can say we all come together for that purpose to accomplish that. Maybe we could be in the same place where we're trying to accomplish a goal and we can not see each other for colors of skin or even financial status and all those different things that we judge each other by. And I think a prime example of that would be it's a totally different feeling than what we had in 9/11 to what we have now. When 9/11 happened, the country came together. It wasn't much as you kind of saw less of this race and dividing factors. Everybody wanted to come together and like we have to recover. We have to mourn those who died. We have to be here for each other because America had just suffered this great loss. And now, years later down the road, we're at a totally different spot where racial division is at an all-time high. As the subject is what's going on right now, and it's like it's a very different atmosphere. And like you said, I think that sometimes those sense of hardships bring people together, and I think that maybe we just, as those whom, like I said, believe that people can get off the sideline and do whatever you can do, as whether it's talk to people, whether it's hold a gathering and talk about certain issues, or give a person a voice that you know have been through something. Let them hear their story, someone that they can touch, feel, and see, and that these stories are real. I think that maybe we can begin to kind of come together. I think that all of us can be better. And I think that if we all start with the person in the mirror, maybe we can begin to take steps toward correcting a lot of the things that are going on.
Let my words ever find, let the words of my mouth be acceptable in thy sight. Take charge of my thoughts.